when people say, I can't stand when they say this, where it's just another game, it's not another game. That's the worst mindset to have. You can't just say this is another game, because it's not. It's the biggest game of your life. It could change your life forever. It does so many things for you financially. You can monetize it in a great way. So it's not another game. The losers compared to the winners, totally different.
You know, I'd like to get comfortable in a game and give me a couple completions and let's get rolling. Maybe let me run with the ball early on to get the nerves out, stuff like that. Tom Brady comes out first play, Super Bowl, drop back pass, throws an 18-yard comeback to the wide side of the field as is the most difficult throw in football. First throw of the game. It's like, okay, there's just certain guys are made a certain way where they're just ready to go.
Well, it's no longer about the Legion of Boom. It's no longer about Patriots dynasties, and we are all here knowing we won't get fined. It is Seattle against New England again, this time Super Bowl 60, a week and change away, and we welcome you to Flutie versus Stegall, your head-to-head weekly NFL picks and analysis show. I'm your host, Arash Madani. There's Milt Stegall. There is Doug Flutie. The Super Bowl is upon us. And fellas, yes. I think we can all agree on something, okay? If Seattle this time, in the final 30 seconds, with timeouts, they have, I don't know, second and goal at the 1 or 2 yard line, I don't know, down 4 or 5 points. This time they're
running a flea flicker.
It's gotta be Kenneth Walker time, doesn't it?
Trick play. Come on, you got to fool him at the 1 foot line. Go ahead.
Oh man,
Seattle fans are going to relive that 5,000 times between now and Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, I was saying to you guys on the group chat, they got to get Malcolm Butler to flip the ceremonial coin toss.
Yes,
a fitting way to do it. If you're new to the show, welcome. Happy Super Bowl bye week. Flutie versus Stegall has become one of North America's fastest growing football podcasts. The guys make their picks. We talk NFL storylines, and Milt and Doug share their own locker room stories. Okay, we also break down plays. So, right before the half, the Rams are leading Seattle by a field goal in the NFC title game, under a minute to play. Seattle's kind of inside their own 40-yard line, weren't quite sure what they're going to do. A deep ball to JSN to get them into the red zone. And from there, Doug, it was Sam Darnold to Jackson Smith-Njigba for a touchdown. You've drawn it up for us here.
JSN came in motion, came over to make the 3-receiver side. The key to this was he was at depth. He wasn't like up on the line of scrimmage or just a half a foot off. It was more like coming from the backfield. He was deep. And what happens in zone coverage, the rule is you have to run with the second man through your zone. So there's a post route, takes the top off the coverage, right? He takes the safety out of there. The next guy comes. Now the corner's going to have to lock in. This is my second guy through. I'm going to lock in with him, and he runs the out route, so he ends up sitting on the out. Now you're running a deep corner route, which is basically coming from the backfield and running through. The guy that had to run with him was a nickelback or a backer from inside out, and that doesn't usually happen with an inside player. And they just totally got fooled. Corner squatted, safety was taken out of the play, wide open touchdown on a corner route. Great scheme, setup, play design, and game planning was absolutely amazing because, I mean, I'm 106 years old, and I could have caught that touchdown.
And that was a point I was going to make. Yes, you give credit to Sam Darnold. Yes, you give credit to JSN, but you got to give a lot of credit schematically what the offensive coordinator was able to do. This is film study. This is reading what the Rams have been doing defensively in the red zone and understanding, yes, even though the best receiver in the league, you think they would keep their eye on him, schematically, we're going to fool them, and that's exactly what they did. Because if JSN is wide open, that's because they fooled him defensively. So great call by Seattle getting him wide open because that was a game changer. They went into the halftime with some momentum, and they came out and they kept it going.
Clint Kubiak called a hell of a game. Guys, I wonder in this situation, how much in games like these is is a team like Seattle in this spot showing something that the Rams are thinking they're seeing, but it's a different tweak that they haven't put on film all year. Well, could that have been a play? Could that have just been a tweak, a scheme, something that the Rams weren't prepared for, the way they used JSN, how they deployed him, and how that whole play unfolded? Could that have been something there?
Well, a lot of times when you put a wide receiver coming out from a backfield position, or even in there, he was really in a bunch set. Mm-hmm. You're looking to get him matched up with an inside defender, a backer, a nickel back, somebody inside. But in zone coverage, you just stick to your rules. And that's a play that is a rule breaker for the defense. My favorite was running a wheel route with the post and running guys off and having another guy come through following the wheel. There's that third guy through, there's no one left to run with him. And it's just something that breaks down that particular coverage. I don't know that, you got to correct it by having an inside defender run with a third receiver. It's just a rule breaker for a defense.
It's a very difficult situation. It's why some defensive coordinators don't like to play zone defense in the red zone, because you're thinking. If you play man-to-man, there's no thinking. It's mano-a-mano, but you have to have the players to do that. If you don't have enough players to play man-to-man down there, you have to play zone. And sometimes when you play zone, those are the results that you get.
As a quarterback, I always say, I wanted my offensive coordinator to give me one of those a game. Right? You come up, you scheme, whether it's the naked bootleg, little flip to a guy in the flat, wide open, whatever it might be. You trick them one time for me. I get that one touchdown pass. I'll make one good touchdown pass. So I should come out with two. And then if we have a good day, we get three or something on top of it. But I always thought that offensive coordinator is responsible for one good one that is a layup for you as a quarterback.
And is in that situation, coming out of a timeout, does the quarterback say to his OC, hey, we've been practicing this all week. This is the time for it?
No doubt. They had, the hash mark, whatever, the area of the field, the hash mark. They got a choice of 2 or 3 plays and no, I like this one. We're waiting for this one. Here we go.
And the quarterback here takes his team into the Super Bowl. They won't be happy in Santa Clara to have the Seahawks there. But guys, how about Sam Darnold? How about Sam Darnold, who at last has now solidified himself as franchise quarterback? Here's somebody who's been just so unflappable through all of this. And then he broke out and smiled, and he lifted that conference championship trophy, had the cigar in the locker room after. I mean, Darnold was dialed. Like he was excellent throughout this entire thing. And the redemption story now is one win away from being absolutely complete, Doug.
Yeah, I've watched Sam Darnold since college, and he had that propensity to run into turnovers and try to force plays and try to make something out of nothing, and that has not happened. We kept, and Milt called it early. He's like, it's not happening, right? Beginning of the playoffs, just before, it's like, no, he's overcome that hurdle. And it's so hard as a quarterback, especially you see it in Drake May. Drake May's been playing very cautious through the playoffs. Yep. And they haven't been doing as much offensively, lighting up the scoreboard. And he's had his turnovers. It's very easy not to play free and loose. If you play free and loose, all of a sudden you turn the ball over. So now you're being careful. And there's this balance that goes on. And the common denominator becomes knowing what you're seeing in front of you and how comfortable. I mean, watching Matthew Stafford throw the ball, Sam Darnold throw the ball in the playoffs. They're very sure what they're seeing. So it's not a risk to them when they're going upfield. They're putting it out there on time and rhythm and making plays right from the beginning of the game, making plays up the field, not being careful.
And I can't wait to see the 30 for 30 on Sam Darnold whenever it comes out. There's a story that's going to be like no other. And it seems like he's in this moment now, and he's not going to let it pass him by. He's going to take full advantage of it. He's been through his ups and downs, playing for the Jets. How many folks have had success playing for the Jets? Then he bounced around a little bit, and he started some in Carolina. Then he went to Minnesota. He had a great regular season and then couldn't make it happen in the playoffs, and they felt he wasn't their guy. Then he's in Seattle now, and he's taking full advantage of it. And his coach came out and said it because Sam didn't, but he's making a lot of people pay for the way they talked about it, for the way they're treating him. He has to finish it off now because it means nothing if he doesn't win the Super Bowl. He can do all those great things he's done in the past, but he has to win this Super Bowl to make that story a success.
Well, and the knock on Darnold was, when the pocket broke down, that's when he, had the turnovers. That's when he wasn't having success. How about that on Sunday? All three of Darnold's touchdown passes came in the face of pressure. He's the only quarterback in the NFL the last 2 years to have 30 wins. Not Mahomes, not Allen, not Lamar, not even Stafford, Sam Darnold. Guys, look, Stafford dueled with Darnold. 374, a couple of touchdowns on the road. And now he's going to take his time on what's next. You understand why. Matthew turns 38 next week. He went first overall 17 years ago.
Yep.
You both played a long time. Milt, you called it a career just before your 40s. Doug, you did it at age 43. I wonder at this stage, the decision for a player of whether or not they'll come back. Like, so much goes into it. Milt, what are the real factors that pull you in and drag you out when you want to make this decision?
Well, the first one you have to consider is family. He has a wife and 4 young daughters. He'll talk to his wife to make sure it's okay. And then after that, and Doug, you know this better than anyone, it's, do you want to go through that again? As a quarterback, there is a lot on your plate, physically, mentally, the time you're away from your family, all the things you have to deal with, media and all that. Does he want to go through that again? And I'm going to say he's not retiring. He's coming back and playing. I don't think it has anything to do with the money. The man has made enough money over his career. I mean, it's still a lot of money on the table, like over $40 million. But the way that he finished this season, the fact that he's probably the MVP, he threw for more touchdowns than he's ever thrown for, highest quarterback rating, he's not going to go out like that. And also, he still has a chance to win a Super Bowl. He's still on the team that can win a Super Bowl. So there's a 100% chance, in my opinion, that we'll see him back on the field next season.
I agree. He'll be back. What makes the decision for you is when you have aches and pain. At the end of my career, my back was bothering me. My left knee was a mess. I was like, I need to be able to make people miss in order to do what I do. There comes a point where you can't play the game the way you want to play it. And that's not the case here. The case here is he's still slinging it. He's only 38. Shoot, if he retired, he'd be back 5. Brett Favre tried to retire 5 times. Brady tried to retire. Yep. You want to play. When you know you're better than most of the guys in the league, you play, and it because he still thinks he has a shot, and he does have a shot. He was at the 5-yard line, 4-yard line. They had 2 shots and couldn't get the ball in the end zone. I mean, they're sitting there knocking on the doorstep to win the game. He's still playing at an elite level. In fact, he very easily could be the MVP this year. So he's back.
And it's one thing when you have 1 ring on the resume, you're in a different kind of category when you have 2. Stafford would have that opportunity next year. Doug, you mentioned it. They're inside the 5-yard line with about 5 minutes to go. I'm saying to myself, kick the field goal. You're going to get the ball back. You have to get the ball back.
Didn't they? They got the ball back with 20 seconds.
Yeah. It wasn't much time. Yep. It wasn't much time.
So I'm sorry to cut you off there, Rash, but I'm like, no, this is the time. Go win the game. And
you think they should have went for it, huh, Doug?
Who's that? The Rams?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
No. What are we at the end of the game? What are we talking?
You talk about when it was 4th and 4 when they were on the 6-yard line.
It's 5 minutes to go in the game.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going for the touchdown. I'm going for the touchdown. I'm like, it's because, and it ended up, Seattle moved the ball a little bit. You got it back with 20 seconds left. The game's over. We can discuss whether Kupp caught that ball, whether that's a Buffalo play or another one. I'm trying to win the game there. You got 2 shots from around the 4-yard line, 4 or 5-yard line, and I'm going with Matthew Stafford.
Well, let me tell you why I would have kicked the field goal. They kick the field goal. They make it. They're down by 1 point. Now, offensively, that changes the strategy for Seattle because when they were up, when they didn't, the Rams didn't get it, and now if they have the ball, they're up by 4. Their strategy is to run out the clock, take as much time off the clock as you can. But if they're only up by 1, they're thinking, man, we need to try to score now. So now they're being more aggressive. And now you have a better chance of getting the ball back. So that's why my thinking was go for it. Kick the field goal. You're only down by 1 point. Even if they do kick a field goal, you still have an opportunity to score a touchdown and win the game. But if you stop them, all you need to do is get in field goal range. That was my thinking. That's why I thought
it's true, but ends up Seattle makes a couple of first downs and you're getting the ball back with 20 seconds left. Yeah. I mean, that's what my fear would have been. As a quarterback and a guy like Stafford as your guy, I'm thinking score point. I'm letting it loose and turning him loose. He had 2 shots from there. I forget what he saw. Oh, he wanted to throw something one-on-one to the backside. That gets doubled. Safety came over the top. He comes back to the middle field. His second guy's a tight end in the back of the end zone. Great defensive play, undercutting it, knocking it down. He was covered. Usually on a 4th down play, if it's tight, I'm not throwing it. I'm moving. I'm buying. And then if you're getting lit up, you got to just throw it up for grabs.
But Stafford, he can't move. That's part of the problem.
Well, I was surprised that he pulled the trigger. That he pulled the trigger with the guy not being open. Like he still had a second or so to maybe come off. I was a little surprised he pulled the trigger in that tight of a window, but he's been doing that throughout the playoffs and sticking it in there.
And remember on that play, Sean Payton was running down the sideline. He thought about calling a timeout.
He did.
Maybe analytics should have got in there and told him to call a timeout and change the play. Maybe
I mean, there's just so many situations in the last 2 weeks where during the season teams went for it on 4th down so many times.
Too much.
And that carried over into the playoffs, and it totally changed both games. That mentality. Now, whether the analytics say analytics don't tell you your quarterback's having a 500-yard passing day, or that your kicker's having a rough day, or that it's snowing and the wind's 40 miles an hour left to right. You've got to feel your team out. You got to know that you're blowing them off the line. How about the Patriots? The Patriots kicked the game-winning field goal after going for it on a 4th and 1 that was really questionable. They could have kicked it then.
Right.
They end up stalling out inside the 10 and kicked the field goal anyway. But the reason they went for it, they had a little tight end screen, I think, and got it 8 or 9 yards and left it 4th and short. So they had that momentum and wanted to go for it.
Right.
Just like the Rams got about 8 or 9 yards and got there and decided to go for it. And that was, I'm sorry, I was thinking Denver in the back of my mind there. When Stidham ran for about 8 or 9 yards, turned it into a 4th and 1, and they get stuffed early in the game when everyone's saying they should have kicked the field goal. So a lot of times the play prior to the 4th down play creates momentum and makes teams want to go for it more.
Let's talk about that 4th and 1 play in Denver and New England, because there's a lot of people second guessing Sean Payton. Even afterwards, he told ESPN we should have kicked. Okay, fine. That's what everybody's talking about, the kick.
3 years ago, you would have kicked it without blinking an eye.
No question.
Yep.
Here's what I find interesting, though. Payton, when Stidham went to the line, he was going to go for it. He had a run play called and then called the timeout.
And changed it.
And they bring everybody over and the second guessing and overthinking, and they were expecting the Patriots to come out in the same defensive look. They didn't, and the play was doomed from the jump.
Yep.
Guys, like, we so often you talk about conviction and what you believe in. It just felt like forget the field goal for a minute. On the play call itself, it felt like Sean Payton was second guessing himself there. I wonder if it's because of a backup quarterback or maybe not. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Milt.
For me, first of all, in that situation, because we have a backup quarterback, because we have a quarterback who's playing in the biggest game of his life, I'm going to go up 2 scores. And then I know they had to know in the second half, then inclement weather was going to kick in. And maybe they're up 10-0. Maybe they're up 10-7. They don't need to score anymore. And then other than that, just run the ball. You're trying to outsmart the team. If you don't feel you can get it running the ball, don't even go for it. You need a yard. Quarterback sneak. I've seen some teams put a fullback or a tight end at the quarterback. You're trying to fool a team. No, just line up and smash him in the mouth and go get it. So those are the 2 things that concern me. And Sean Payton, this is going to hunt him all season long, because you don't know when you're going to get back to this his position ever again. And I'm sure he second guessed himself, and it definitely cost him, in my opinion.
Now, football is not rocket science, and a lot of these coaches try to, like you said,
how dare you, Flutie? How dare you say such a thing?
Once in a while, you draw up a beautiful play and you get the correct coverage, and it works like it did on Wednesday afternoon in practice, and like it did on Monday night when the coaches drew it up and put it in the game plan. But like you said, get a feel for it's a physical game. A 2-score at that time. Go up 2 scores. I agree that Denver should have gone up 2 scores at that time. Other fourth down plays throughout the weekend, I agree with going for the touchdown or not kicking. But go up by 2 scores. Okay, now you have your first impulse is go run it up in there. He decided he was going to call run play, run it up in there. The problem is they call timeout. Now they got more time to think about it. They got their play sheet in front of them, and they got 3 choices and. We can do this, we can do that. Now you're overthinking. You're just overthinking things. Quarterback sneaks. I don't know what the percentage is, especially since the tush-push stuff.
You can push the guy.
What is it? The percentages are like 90%, aren't they?
So Jarrett Stidham's not going to overrule Sean Payton there. He's not going to say anything. He's just going to go with the play call. And maybe Bo Nix doesn't have quite that clout yet. But if you're a veteran quarterback and you're there, how much more of a say do you have in what that play call is going to be in that spot compared to a backup or a rook or a second-year player?
I know what I did well, and I would have been lobbying for the naked boot. If I'm a quarterback, I'm opting for that because I want options. Because if I'd done that play and all of a sudden it's dead in the water, I would have fish hooked it and I would have been rolling back out to the left side. It would have been a jailbreak. I would have been running all over the damn place and try to make something out of it. That, to me, I like my options. Like I want 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I like all that. But when I was in Canada, I loved the quarterback sneaks because they would leave a gap. We'd bust it all the time.
Yeah.
And I hate it. I hate a lot of teams in fourth down being in shotgun and handing off. You're 4 yards back. Just find a gap, go forward. They should have been running the ball. Does he have the clout? No, he's going to sit there and keep his mouth shut, do as he's told, and go with it. And, but like if it was a Brady or whatnot, Tom was amazing at quarterback sneaks because he's smart. He knows where the uncovered gap was, and he always had an option that if all the gaps were closed, we'd run off tackle, and he'd just check to the off tackle play because you're going to leave a gap, and he would check to the right play.
And hindsight is 20/20. If they get those first downs, we're not talking about it, but they didn't, so that's why we're talking about it.
Sure. You know who else likes the bootleg run? Drake May. Did
he pull that on his own?
That's what he said. Yeah, that's what he said.
He pulled it on his own? If he did, I love it. If he did, I absolutely love it. Is that to me, that's another one with all the analytics and they got their play sheet and they're calling it. And the quarterback says, screw that. I'm taking it. And I love that.
You know what that is, Doug? It's the basketball coach when a player pulls up from almost half court to shoot a 3. No. Yes. Just the way we drew it up.
Right.
Amazing. Drake May, by the way, becomes only the 3rd quarterback under the age of 24 to make a Super Bowl. He joins Dan Marino and Ben Roethlisberger.
That's amazing.
There. I think this is interesting to get your guys' perspective from because I don't think a lot of people know how the Super Bowl week kind of works. Monday, Tuesday, after you win the conference title game, the early part of the week is tickets and logistics and take care of the families, how you'll get to and from the Bay Area. But actually, a lot of the heavy lifting of the game plan and install and practices happen at the team facilities before they go to California. Look, you guys have been in championship weeks. You're being pulled in a bunch of different directions. There's so many distractions. What are the ways to lock in? What advice would you give guys who realistically, look, they're excited, they want to experience things, but as our friend Mike Tomlin would say, how do you still make the main thing the main thing? Doug?
I think the number one thing is this week, get all your prep done. This is the week you work your ass off. This is the week you're living at the facility 24/7 and you're watching extra film and you're game planning. And that is all etched in stone before you get on the plane to get to San Francisco.
Yep.
So the work is done. Now, San Francisco week, when you're on the practice field and meetings, it's just rehashing stuff and reinforcing it and getting ready for the game. So you can enjoy the atmosphere a little bit. I liked staying in my bubble. I didn't want the outside distractions. I think, Grey Cup weeks for us. By the third time I was doing it, I was relaxed enough that I knew, I was confident in what we were doing and all that. And I could go to the receptions or do this or do that. But in fact, oh God. In fact, we played up in my third Grey Cup. We played up in Edmonton against Saskatchewan. The night before Grey Cup, we had one last meeting. After the meeting, I ran over to the other hotel. My brother Darren and I have a band. We played a gig that night for an hour at some reception. I turned around and went back and I had Don Matthews as a head coach. So
Don was probably there drinking with you.
Don's like, can I sing for you? Can I come over? Yeah, that was my brother's doing, but it was fun. It's fun to be able to tell the story that I actually did that the night before Grey Cup.
Well,
Milt, how about you?
As you mentioned, they're getting the work in this week. So because the coaches know when the players get to the site of the Super Bowl, they want to enjoy themselves, and you can't expect anything else. You want them to enjoy themselves early in the week, but like maybe come Thursday, it's time to shut it down. It's time to get that tunnel vision because we're here for a reason. You won't remember the good time you had early in the week. You'll remember if you lose that game, and you'll remember if you win that game. That's all you need to focus on. So early in the week, let the guys enjoy themselves. Not too much. Let's be smart about it. Let's realize this is still a business trip. But come Thursday, we're locked in, baby. It's tunnel vision. It's time to go out there and do what we came to do because you don't know when and if this opportunity is ever going to present itself again.
The weird thing, too, about Super Bowl Sunday, and we can get into this next week, is just how long it takes to get things going. Like 6, at least this is going to be out on the West Coast, so it's a 3 o'clock kickoff. Waiting around till 6 o'clock, you got to get there so early because of security and this and that. Guys are just chomping at the bit to play.
The worst part, one of the worst parts of these big games for a player is you go out for pregame, warm up, and go in and sit in the locker room for 45 minutes to an hour before you come back.
Tighten up again.
Because you got all these presentation going, all this hoopla going on in the field, and then you got, I don't know, the Easter Bunnies playing halftime, and I don't know, it's going to be an hour and a half long, and you're hanging out at halftime. It's like, you got to warm back up. It's a 6-hour game. That's the stuff that drove me nuts. The biggest game of the year, and everything you've done all year long has changed.
First world problems, Mr. Flutie.
But one quick question. When people say, I can't stand when they say this, where it's just another game, it's not another game. That's the worst mindset to have. You can't just say this is another game because it's not. It's the biggest game of your life. It could change your life forever. It does so many things for you. Financially, you can monetize it in a great way. So it's not another game. The losers compared to the winners, totally different. I just
remember that I'd like to get comfortable in a game and give me a couple completions and let's get rolling. Maybe let me run with the ball early on to get the nerves out, stuff like that. Tom Brady comes out first play, Super Bowl, drop back pass, throws an 18-yard comeback to the wide side of the field as is the most difficult throw in football. First throw of the game. It's like, okay, there's just certain guys are made a certain way where they're just ready to go.
Yeah, Tom, terrific. He earned that one. Super Bowl 60 is right around the corner, and you have a chance to win a VIP trip to Las Vegas around the big game. That's right. You and a guest have a chance to win a trip to Sin City and enjoy a round of golf along football legends Doug Flutie and Milt Stegall. What are our contest winners getting themselves into here?
They're in trouble. First of all, nobody's going to beat us.
There it is.
There may not be a contestant winner. There's no, but so Milt and I will have to go up against you, Rash. But if by some chance somebody beats them, nobody can navigate the windmill on the 18th hole like Milt Stegall. So we got you. We got it covered. I got the clown's mouth. Milt's got the windmill. We got him.
Yeah, there we go, baby. Golf. You know that's my favorite sport of all, baby. I'm going to show out a little bit. Maybe what? Shoot a 70, 71. You know, you never know. But we're going to have fun regardless. Whoever wins, will be ready to lose. We're going to take it, Doug. I'm ready. Let's go.
To register, go to bodog.eu, fill out the props contest to make Super Bowl 60 that much more fun. And one lucky winner and guest are headed to Vegas to play golf with Flutie and Stegall.
Let's go.
It's Flutie versus Stegall. It's the bye week before the Super Bowl. The NFC and AFC championship games are in the books. It's Seattle versus New England again. These two guys have gone head-to-head all season. Doug wins the regular season head-to-head. Milt the playoffs by virtue of Seattle knocking off the Rams. The Super Bowl will decide once and for all who our overall champ is. But look, on the bye week, there are a million props that are involved with the Super Bowl. I mean, we can talk about the color of the Gatorade that the coach is going to get splashed with. We can get into how long the timing of the national anthem is and the rest. Let's get some actual football picks on some props that are some easy ones. First quarterback to throw a touchdown pass in Super Bowl 60. Doug Flutie will be who?
Sam Darnold. I think Sam comes out slinging. I think Drake will play a little conservative early in the game.
Milt?
I'm going with Drake May. I'm going with Drake May to Stephon B, Cardi B's significant other. That's who I'm going with, baby.
No, it'll be Sam Darnold throwing a pick six. That'll be the first touchdown pass.
I saw somewhere Christian Gonzalez 200-1 to win Super Bowl MVP. I'm like, not bad.
What?
Yeah, not bad value there.
Wow.
Not bad value there.
Wow.
First quarterback to throw an interception in this game, Milt, will be who?
It'll also be Drake May. I think it'll be Drake May. Yeah, he'll throw the first touchdown, but he'll also throw the first interception. I'm calling it.
I keep waiting for Sam to start turning the ball over. It's not
Not going to happen, baby. It's not going to happen, baby. No.
I'll go with Drake.
Go ahead. Pick it, Doug.
Drake too. I'll go with you on Drake.
We have the two best defenses in football. Which team will have the most sacks on Super Bowl Sunday? New England or Seattle? Doug?
I say Seattle because Drake holds the ball a little bit more than Sam, and Sam's a little more agile and gets it out quick.
Yeah, I'll agree with Doug and say Seattle, but I'm going to say it's going to come from some defensive backs or some linebackers. It may not be the defensive line. They're going to change things up schematically and put some pressure on May and see if he can handle some zone blitzes or some defensive back blitzes.
So we got our props in for Flutie versus Stegall, and we are counting down to Super Bowl 60. The Patriots and the Seahawks will get after it. We will break down the matchup. We'll have more for you next week as we get ready for things in Santa Clara. Guys, I'll be honest, I can't wait. Like this bye week's driving me nuts. I can't wait for this football game. I think we have a real good football game in store.
I think it's going to be – the New England Patriots want this to be an uglier game. Seattle would like it to be a pretty game, slinging it around and up and down the field. So if the New England defense can find a way to make Sam Darnold a little uncomfortable early, then they'll have a chance. Otherwise, Milt Seahawks are in pretty good shape.
The thing I'm excited about, I'm sure we'll talk about this next week, is there's so many great storylines. So many great storylines within this game. Talk about Sam Darnold, finally getting an opportunity. You talk about Drake May on his second year being one of the youngest quarterbacks to ever play in the Super Bowl, and Vrabel and all these great storylines. I'm excited to talk about all of those.
I'm really excited about Malcolm Butler re-signing and coming back for Super Bowl.
They're only going to use him in the fourth quarter, Doug, and only in a goal line. Absolutely. We will get you ready for Super Bowl 60 next week here on Flutie versus Stegall. We thank all of you. Doug, before we go.
One Malcolm Butler story. I don't know if we can weave this in or not. spokesperson for a bank in New England. We did this thing, quarterback, community quarterback. We throw out footballs to the people that are raising money for charity, all the organizations, 1, 2, 3. So the head of Eastern Bank tells Doug, start out, throw to me up on the balcony to start this thing off. Take out the first ball, throw him to him. Malcolm Butler steps out from behind the curtain and intercepts
it.
It was the year after the Super Bowl that they had won.
Right. Yeah.
Outstanding. Undrafted out of West Alabama, picking off Russell Wilson and Doug Flutie within a year of one another. We thank all of you for making this one of North America's fastest growing football podcasts. For Doug Flutie and Milt Stegall, I'm Arash Madani. We'll see you next week to tee up Super Bowl 60.